Hello and welcome to the Untranslatable Podcast. We are here recording episode 163. And now that we have the new decade of 2020, we are going to make some predictions. So we'll be getting out our crystal balls. Make sure you get yours out as well, and you can make some predictions with us. We are going to be talking about some predictions for some travel predictions of the 20s, the new roaring 20s, if you will. I'm going to talk a little bit about some education predictions and trends that I think might be happening as well. Also, maybe some predictions about language, travel, as we mentioned, and of the state of the Untranslatable Podcast. So if you're curious what's to come this decade, this is the episode for you, and we hope you enjoy. So without further ado, my co-host, my good buddy, Jared. What's going on, Jared?
Hello. I predict that United Airlines is not going to make it through the 2020s. That's just a
bold
taste
statement. Not
of
what
some
about
of my
Spirit?
predictions.
I feel like Spirit would be the one that wouldn't make it through.
I can't speak on Spirit. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I'm talking about United Airlines right now.
You got beef with United, Jared? What's the
No,
deal?
it's just I've heard nothing but bad things about United Airlines. And it's I specifically chose it because it's not a low-cost airline, but it seems to function as one, and it just seems to be really losing it on customer service and everything, and quality and all that stuff.
I gotcha.
Spirit
Okay.
Airlines, honestly, I have more faith in Spirit than Frontier for some reason. I would say maybe Frontier would go before Spirit. So I would say Frontier might not be here next decade either. There you go. Spirit, I think they're going to be around.
Spread a little love.
We're going to be around next decade. The Untranslatable Podcast will be here for you in all the 2020s and in 2030 too. 2030 as well. And but for now, follow us on Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast, Twitter, Untranslatable1, the number 1. You can give us some 5-star reviews
Пожалуйста.
on iTunes and Stitcher. We're on YouTube, Untranslatable Podcast. And you can email us, untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. Chad, I read all of the local publications, one of them being National Geographic. And I noticed that they, obviously, who doesn't? I mean, you've probably seen this article, but just in case, I don't know how long it takes to get to you in China, so I'll read it to you. But I found this article, Top 2020 Travel Trends. These are the top 2020s travel trends. So this is what we're going to talk about slightly. But
Private jets.
I was reading through this and I was like, none of these came to my mind. So
Uber
they probably
helicopter.
didn't come to yours either. Private jets. What kind of world do you think we're going into?
I have no idea, but private jets would be pretty cool.
Private jets is not on the list, unfortunately. But what is on the list is, have you heard of carbon offsetting?
No.
I haven't either. Carbon offsetting is carbon offsetting your flights. One of the ways it's been suggested air travelers can reduce the impact they have on the environment is through carbon offsetting their flights. Carbon offsets are voluntary schemes where people can pay to offset. Pay to offset or make up for the emissions that their flights produce. So I don't fully understand how they're what they're paying for.
Yeah, me either. I don't really get that. I'm assuming the whole point is to reduce your carbon footprint, but I don't really know how that would work.
Aircraft engines produce greenhouse gases, particles, and water vapors, which are released into the atmosphere. It's this mixture that makes them so polluting, but the focus of offsetting is on CO2, carbon dioxide, and it's the most common greenhouse gas. Carbon offsetting doesn't get rid of the carbon dioxide produced when you fly. That still goes into the atmosphere. What it does do is try and make up for your share of the CO2, which gets released by reducing it somewhere else instead. which will slow.
Okay.
Okay, this is a bad slow help to down the global. That's a terrible sentence. Which will slowly help to slow down the global rise in carbon dioxide levels. So for people that fly a lot, you can pay for carbon offsetting, because flying is undoubtedly very polluting, but it's also undoubtedly very convenient. That's the problem.
That's true.
Nothing really beats it as far as convenience. But another one, microcations. It's less trendy to jump on a long-haul first-class flight, says Philippe Brown, founder of Brown & Hudson, which plans custom experiences. People who used to go to far-flung destinations 3+ times a year are now reining in their travel. Microcations, or shorter trips, are increasingly attractive. Quicker vacations, which lend themselves to backyard destinations, are not all about saving money. This time it's about experienced travelers looking for a way to manage their impact on the world, said Edward Pigza, founder and president of Classic Journeys. As travelers turn their attention to places closer to home, they realize there is no jet lag, there is no ocean between them, and it is easy to find a domestic trip into an otherwise crowded schedule.
That's fair.
It's just fitting more vacation into your time, I would say, and not always having to plan so extravagantly, which I'm a big fan of that kind of thing.
Me too.
Like, that's kind of how I think my Toronto trip was thrown together. There was planning, but I think a big appeal of the trip was that it was in driving distance.
Oh, absolutely. I will top that one, though. I like the idea of a microcation. I'm also a big fan of a staycation. Just chilling, relaxing at home. Sometimes it's hard to be a good old staycation.
Those are tough to do. Like, for example, I've woken up at 8 o'clock for the past few days. And I'm like, oh man, well, so much. And I've gone to bed at like midnight plus.
Well, Jared, you're going to hate me when I tell you this, because I've woke up at 12:30 to 1 every day for the last 4 days.
All right. Anyway. Green hotels check-in. People are specifically requesting eco lodges, says Brown and Hudson's Brown. A recent Booking.com survey shows that 70% of travelers would be more likely to book a property if they know it's planet friendly, but 72% are unaware that eco certifications exist for vacation stays. Again, tour operators are stepping in to fill the gap. We have begun our own social responsibility initiative to sorry, I don't have my glasses on. That's why I'm stumbling over my words here. I cannot really see this as well as I should be. Says anyway, green hotels. So just being more aware of where you're staying, how what sort of products they use, maybe. Mm-hmm. How they care, like what kind of lights they use, even things like that, how they use their energy. A lot of hotels do that sort of what feels to me like a half-ass measure of the whole, if you don't want us to wash your towels, don't put them on the floor. But that's the thing. First of all, see, I'm conflicted because that's one of the things I love most about being in a hotel is getting all new sheets and towels all the time.
Right.
But I understand that I should do my part too, and maybe not get my towels washed every time. But I can also at the same time admit that is a half-assed measure. I think that's a way for a lot of these big chains probably to look like they're care more about these green initiatives than they really do, when maybe you look deeper into how their heating system runs or where their water comes from or things like that. I don't know. I'm just making things up here.
You're not wrong, Jared, but I do think it takes baby steps. And it's better than nothing.
And I have to do my part too. Hey, okay, listen. I agree. I understand that. One more. I like this one. Single-use plastics phase out.
That's a good one. Yep.
But I
like
wonder if this is going to happen. Now, I like this too. Single-use plastics, meaning water bottles, or containers that straws, or containers that maybe you go to a store and you buy food that you're going to eat immediately, and they put it into a container and give it to you. Then you take it out of that container and throw it away within 30 seconds of getting the container or whatever. It's already been handed to you and thrown away. I have at my desk at work, I have a water bottle that's a reusable water bottle. I have 2 at home. But I still sometimes find myself using like single-use water bottles, whether someone gives it to me, whether I'm on the road somewhere, or single-use other plastics. And that one seems like a lofty goal, but
I agree.
I like how it sounds, I guess. That would be great.
True.
Oh, and then they even talk about things like California has banned hotels from giving plastic bottles of shampoo and conditioner and soap starting in 2023. Why do they have to wait till 2023,
Good question. I don't know. I will say this, though, too, about the no more single-use plastics. I wonder how that will look on airplanes. Because especially the longer flights when you get like food, there's a lot of your biscuit,
they're like
or your
little
roll has plastic, your silverware has plastic over it. Everything, I feel like.
I'll say this: I have noticed on airplanes, most of the time, it doesn't seem like they make a conceited effort to collect the cups separately and not just throw them away.
True.
Like I see them go through the aisle and they'll dump all the trash, whether it be the single-use plastics of the container that the snack came in.
Right.
And, the napkin that was used just to put a cup on that no one ever used to wipe or clean anything with. Those things get thrown away, but then I do see them usually stack the cup in their on their tray and keep those cups. I assume because they specifically have a recycling process for them. That's what you'd hope. Why they're specific, not just to throw them away behind our backs or whatever. But
or just
it does seem
mirrors, who knows?
They just do hey, just take them separately. Then when you get to the back of the plane, just
throw
put them
them
all
away.
in the same. Yeah,
right. Exactly.
Which really wouldn't surprise me. But you would hope that they're doing that because you'd assume that those cups have some special recycle process that they go through.
Right. You'd hope so.
But these are
good trends, though, Jared, I think.
And I have a bunch of my own that I've written down and that we'll talk about that are not just travel related. It's everything.
Oh, definitely.
Untranslatable podcast related.
Definitely.
But for now we can
spread
a little love.
That's right, Jared. That's right. So I hope this won't be dated. Well, actually, no, I take that back. I hope this will be dated by the time this episode drops, because my only shout out today goes out to all of the people, including celebrities, who have been donating and raising money for the brush fires going on right now in Australia. Hopefully, by the time this episode drops, those fires will be done. But either way, I still think it's a very great thing that a lot of people are doing. And one celebrity I would specifically like to give a shout out to today, Jared, is Celeste Barber, who is a comedian from Australia, and she has helped raise more than $20 million to help the New South Wales Rural Fire Service fight the devastating bushfires around the state. So I think this is really amazing. I mean, $20 million is pretty crazy. Barbara, who has about 6.4 million followers on Instagram, has used her huge social media following to draw donations from around the world, which I think is super awesome. Not only her, but also the world #1 tennis player Ashley Barty on Sunday pledged to donate all of her Brisbane International prize money as well. And so the winner takes home $250,000 US dollars. So if she were to win that, she would be donating $250,000 as well. So I think this is really amazing. There are a lot of other celebrities as well who have been donating money, and I think it's to a very noble cause. and we wish everyone in Australia health, happiness, safety, and we hope that these terrible bushfires come to an end as soon as possible.
Yeah. Hey, I've obviously heard about these bushfires happening. Did they just are they just naturally causing?
I don't know. I don't know enough about it to really tell you. It's a great question. All I know is that they've happened all over Australia. It's not just one. I saw a map and it looked like it was like the coast, all over the place.
Yeah. But like Australia is a dry country, so I didn't know if like, oh no, it's prone to forest fires and this is just a particularly bad one, or if this was man-made somehow or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's a great question, Jared. I don't have the answer for you. Don't want to lead our listeners down the wrong path here. But you know how we can lead them to the right path, though, Jared.
Yes. The Untranslatable Podcast wants to lead you down the right path. Follow us, and you will be saved.
Especially with our untranslatables. I'll get us started today, Jared. I have a couple Norwegian ones for you. The first one is a være pring I bollen, which means to be a ping in the bowl.
To be a ping in the bowl. Is that to be
a... is like the sound a bowl would make, Jared, if you like flicked it or tapped it when it was empty.
I feel you. I feel you. Is that like a just a moment in time, or just like like to be like a just like a blip in someone's like past history?
Nope. Nope. So think about, Jared. So imagine that bowl is your head, and you ping it because it's empty.
Oh, like a idiot, someone with nothing in their brain.
Yeah, an airhead, someone stupid, someone idiotic. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's hilarious. So it's like there's nothing in there except you just hear like one single like ball or something tinging around in there.
Right. Exactly.
Right. My first one is Portuguese, and it's por curar pelo em ovo. And it's to look for a hair in an egg.
Is that like a needle in a haystack?
To look for a hair in an egg.
So not a needle in a haystack. Okay.
No. So think about that.
Egg. Look for something that's like impossible to find.
Or you're very close. I'll give it to you, but like looking for something that's impossible to find, or it's like, it's like, Chad, did you, hold on. It's like, Chad, you told me that you were in Shanghai, but like, I feel like you weren't. Why are you lying to me? Or it's like, are you hiding something from me? And you're like, Jared, you're looking for a hair in an egg.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay.
What is it? It means like looking for problems that aren't really there.
Okay.
When there aren't any, like you're trying like making problems. Sure. Yeah. Making problems out of nothing. Yeah.
All right. Nice. My next one for you is also Norwegian, and it is a fablod patanen, which means to get blood on your tooth.
To get blood on your tooth. Is that like to get your hands dirty, like it's to get to work, and to be like sometimes you got to get blood on your teeth,
You know what? I'll give it to you, but let me give you another like example, and maybe this will really rein it in.
Or to like hunker down to like
So imagine, Jared. Imagine you and I. I would say we're frenemies. We're not really, but for this example, we're frenemies. And
I got bummed out for a second.
Well, you haven't been roasting me as much lately, which surprises me. Now, I think it's because you miss me, and because I don't know why. But anyways, so Jared and I are frenemies, and maybe I want to turn this podcast into an interpretive dance podcast where we don't talk at all, and it's just interpretive dance and weird music in the background. And Jared says, no, people love our untranslatables. I said, you know what? Let's take this outside. We take it outside. Jared lands a clean punch, hits me right in the kisser, right in the mouth. I feel my mouth bleeding. I feel I have blood on my teeth. And then I am just ready to beat up Jared.
Oh, it's like when you see red.
Maybe that was a bad example. It means to be driven or inspired to do something.
Okay. Well,
Bad example, I
okay.
guess.
The way you did it made it seem like
Was
someone
see
punches you,
red.
then you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'll show you. It's more like like you see red kind of thing when someone hits you, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm about to go crazy on this foo.
Right.
That's what I say. I'm gonna go crazy on this foo. My next untranslatable is French Canadian, and it's je suis tanné.
I am.
And yeah, you're right. Je suis is I am, and tanné is means to turn. It's the process of turning hide into leather.
Is that like you're
So
you're
it's essentially
furious?
I am turning.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Wow.
Très bien. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm turning hide into leather.
That makes sense.
Yes.
All right. I feel like that's something my dad would say if he was French Canadian.
I'm turning hide into leather.
You hoser. Oh, man. That's funny. My last one for you, Jared, is Chinese. And this one's kind of interesting. I read online, this one kind of became like an internet untranslatable that people use. And it's Da Jiang Yu, and it means to get soy sauce. Like, I'm just here to get the soy sauce. I'm going to leave. I'm just here to get the soy sauce.
It's like, don't mind me.
Yeah, don't mind me. Like this is none of my business. Uh-huh.
I like that.
Yeah. Oh, just
So
here
it's
to
like
pick up the
someone
soy
that's-
sauce.
I feel like I can imagine if it's like an internet thing, I can imagine it being used if someone's like lurking on some social media posts that have like a lot of drama going on and you're not involved, but you're kind of just watching.
Right.
And you're like, oh, I'm just here to get some soy sauce. Don't mind me. And you're just enjoying watching the drama unfold.
Kind of like that Michael Jackson gif of him just eating popcorn.
Yes.
You just have a gif in China of someone grabbing some soy sauce and leaving. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes.
Oh, man,
All right.
that is a good one.
All right, Chad, let's get into some predictions here. Now, mine, I wrote down a bunch in
Sweet.
no specific order. These are the things that have come to my head in the past couple days. And so, do you have any for as well?
Can I just say a couple of things about 2020 in general?
Okay.
That I've noticed while kind of perusing the internet and like thinking about stuff. When I was doing some research for this episode, I read so many predictions that were all just doom and gloom. Like World War III is going to happen. There's going to be too many people. There's going to be like a war over resources.
Probably a depression.
Fresh water.
Financial depression.
A couple recessions they mentioned as well. All sorts of stuff. And I mean, yeah, that stuff can happen, but I really hope it doesn't happen in the next decade. It's hard to say. But, this kind of
gas
reminds
prices
me
are probably going to go up a lot.
Right. It almost reminds me, though, Jared, of like Y2K a little bit. Like right when we hit the new millennium.
Oh, yeah.
How like there was so much panic and fear.
It's a little more realistic in the sense that no one thinks the world's going to actually end like they did with Y2K, where they thought like the Earth was just going to like all the nuclear plants were just going to simultaneously explode. Right. Yeah. But I do think this decade will bring us some crazy technological innovations. I think that will influence our everyday lives. It will influence business. It will influence education. I mean, it will influence everything. I think AI is going to become even more prominent. I think the workforce is going to change a lot. These are just some general predictions. I hope that teaching, as a teacher, I hope teaching will become less test-based and more student-centered. I think the entire world would benefit a lot from that. I also hope there will be some education. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. What countries do you look for as the benchmark for these sort of new styles of teaching?
Finland. Okay. 100%. Finland. Yeah.
Okay.
Without a doubt. But the problem is how do we do this on a mass scale? Like, how can you individualize? I'm just thinking of myself here being a teacher in China with, one of my classes has over 60 students. How do you make an individualized lesson with 60-some students? I think the answer to that is you don't. You have to somehow make smaller classes.
Yeah.
But it'll be an interesting.
But technology is even helping you with that because, like, you utilize WeChat, which to us Americans is just looked at as another social media app. But as obviously, as we all know here at the Untranslatable Podcast, is so much more.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So I've been thinking about some predictions for the next decade, and as I mentioned, there's no rhyme or reason to these. So instant translating through headphone microphone technology.
Yep. I
agree.
agree.
and I'm talking. You can wear your AirPods and just have a normal conversation with two people wearing AirPods in, and you don't have to put on it. You don't have to turn anything on. You don't have to tell it what language it is. It can just start. It can just detect it immediately.
Yeah.
Much like if you have a phrase and you just throw it into Google Translate, you don't really have to select through to find the language. It'll say it's this language, and you just click on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right about that.
I would say, and I don't even think it'll be perfect, but I think that technology is we have to be so close to that, don't you think? I mean, we have the camera technology.
Think so.
We do have it where you can talk into your phone and it'll spit it out or whatever. So I feel like
a lot of companies have been spending a lot of money doing research and improving the whole voice recognition software. So yeah, I do think that will be a thing. I will tell you though, Jared, as someone who is a language teacher, it does worry me a bit because in theory, that makes my job obsolete. Whether or not it'll actually come to that, though, I'm not really sure because I think there is a different type of connection you can make with someone when you actually speak the language. I think there's a lot you learn about the culture that you don't learn if you can't speak the language. And I think people also enjoy learning languages. So I think because of that, I don't think that technology will make language learning obsolete. I think it will just change the what, why, and how of language learning. But yeah, I think it will happen within the next decade.
It's interesting that you say that because I have something to say that kind of goes off of that. I think ESL will improve, English as a second language globally. ESL will improve. Countries will get overall better at English, and I think that that's just because of the globalization and the way that our technology is going. Everyone's starting to look at the same social media, and English is just obviously a very unifying language. But I don't think we'll see any improvement in Americans learning foreign languages. If anything, I think we'll see maybe even more of a decrease in that because I think because ESL will improve, I think the requirement will become even less required for
I think
for
Americans. You're right, but I think there's also a danger in that too. I just think that
I think there's a danger in it. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying I think it'll happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. What other predictions do you have, buddy?
More international celebrities, specifically because of YouTube, I think. So I'd be interested to see more collaborations between international celebrities. So not just us hearing more about them, but also us seeing international celebrities work together more, like American celebrity and a big Korean celebrity or something.
That would be super cool. Yeah.
But I think with maybe those demands will be more because a lot of people today hear about their audiences through their whether you're a YouTube person or really just a YouTube person. A lot of these people hear about who their audiences are through their comments and through their Instagram or Twitter accounts. And so if you can, maybe they'll start hearing about other audiences and realize, oh, this would be a good way to expand my audience.
Oh, definitely.
I think, Chad, we're due for a new social media site. Doesn't it feel like we're way overdue? we've been rocking with. I mean, Instagram has really been on the come up. I'd say in the past decade, Instagram really came up as a top runner. Facebook has kind of fallen back a little bit. It's still very powerful, but I think as it's lost its appeal. I think with the younger generations. Now
True.
the younger and I think even Twitter, even though it's still very powerful, and I still love Twitter. A lot of people still love Twitter. I feel like it doesn't have the appeal of the younger generations. I feel like Instagram is of the big three, being Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Instagram has the best capture of the younger generations, and
Definitely.
I think there's space for more. I think it's just been too long. But it just seems harder and harder for new social media sites to capture on. Remember Google Plus?
True.
Pour some out.
Yeah, Google Plus was. I had like 3 or 4 people invite me to Google Plus. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm not going to use this.
Yeah, I had it for like a month, and I had a profile that I made, and there was nothing on it. And then I was like, oh, all right, I guess no one's using this.
You know what I'm
But you don't want to
surprised
miss
about,
out,
though?
you know?
Right. You know what I'm surprised about, though, is that to any of our listeners out there who are familiar with the television show The Office, and I'm referring to the American version because I have not seen the British version, but Ryan has this platform called Woof, where it like combines all of your social media. I'm surprised something like that hasn't actually happened, though. That you can't just.
Where else do we need it other than our phone, computer,
Look, Jared.
and probably car?
Look, I am sick of having to switch through
And
apps.
watch. You can
between
even get it on your
Facebook
watch.
and YouTube and Instagram and
Dude,
Twitter. It's too
you
much
make a
work
good
on my
point.
thumbs.
That's actually kind of a good point.
My thumbs are getting tired, Jared. I need to save them for my guitar playing. I can't be switching around these apps all the time.
Isn't that kind of WeChat though?
Yes and no. I mean, for the most part, I guess yes. But
Okay, because the
It's
thing is
still not
about
the
in the
same.
U.S. is they can't really do that in the U.S. either, I guess, because of companies. You know, these are all different companies. But
unless it
like,
all became like one big company.
yeah, but we definitely don't want that.
That's true.
But that's
true.
probably going to happen too. That should be another prediction. What
Right.
social media company is going to buy which other social media company?
Probably Facebook, right? Because doesn't Facebook also own Instagram?
Yeah, Facebook does own Instagram. That's true.
Doesn't Facebook also own Snapchat?
Maybe there's a lot of cross ownership already. You're right. I don't know exactly about that one, but I
about
think you might
YouTube?
be right.
Doesn't Facebook also own YouTube?
Google owns YouTube.
Google owns YouTube. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Facebook and Google going neck and neck.
Okay. Facebook. Yeah. I mean, that's what it is right now, I would say.
Yeah.
But I think there's going to be Twitter's still in it though. And I think Twitter needs to get on the buying train, you know, like they could expand, I think. I don't know why I'm pushing for. I don't want any of this to happen. Like this is terrible for like the people in our economy. I feel like, but like that. Anyway. Okay. More predictions. Whew. VR travel. I was at the Great Lakes Crossing. Excuse me. I was at Somerset Mall yesterday. Not Great Lakes Crossing. And I went to the Microsoft store, and they had VR goggles. I was about to put them on, then I realized that they weren't connected to anything. And you could see, like, little pieces of hair in there, and I'm like,
Ooh.
and I just thought, how many just strangers have put their face into this thing? So I
true.
did not put them on.
You're going to get pink eye, my man. I'm glad you didn't do that.
Yeah, I did not put them on. But as I was there, I thought, oh, I bet you, because I knew we were doing this episode today, I thought, oh, VR travel's going to be big. I think that's going to
true.
be, and not only that, it's going to take exercise. And I know this stuff kind of exists, but it's going to be taken to the next level where I think we're going to have more of a feeling where we're actually walking through the streets of Brussels, you know, or walking by the pyramids in Egypt while you're walking in your living room. I think that technology is really going to step it up, and I think companies like Peloton maybe are going to be trying to be at the forefront of stuff like this.
Now, I've got a question for you about that, Jared. Do you think that in the next decade, maybe this will be something 2 decades away, I don't know how far the technology is, do you think VR will replace like watching normal TV as we know it nowadays, or like watching YouTube and stuff? Do you think people will just be always wearing their VR goggles to watch everything now?
If so, not in the next decade. No.
Okay. Why is that?
Well, at least at this point, in order to be wearing these goggles, you have to remove your sense of sight. That's sort of a big barrier to just constantly be in a perpetual sense of no sight. I don't know. No, I don't think so. I think it's not practical. I think like what you're going to be at the airport and then just put on your goggles and just leave your stuff sitting there, or you're going to be at a train station, put on your goggles and just start punching, jogging
Smack
in place.
The old lady in front of you, not even realize it.
Or it's going to sort of, and how is that going to be lying down on a sofa, watching a show with multiple people or watching a movie with multiple people? Do you got to hand out multiple goggles? Tell people, bring your goggles. Or you're lying on a sofa with you and your lady and you guys are knocking goggles.
I wonder if that would be a new slang term, knocking goggles.
How are you going to Oculus Rift and chill? Or maybe you can seamlessly transfer from watching the movie together through your VR goggles to being on like a beach in Mallorca and
some romantic moods.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
It's like, oh, now we're in Hawaii all of a sudden. How did this happen?
Right. That's true.
So I think VR travel is going to be big. There's already something in cars. I know Mercedes-Benz and another car company recently got it. I can't think of what it is. I should know this. But anyway, Mercedes, I should know this. I don't, there's no reason for me to should know this. I just am a nerd. Mercedes-Benz has this new navigation system, and it's AR navigation, augmented reality. And it has a front camera, and a lot of cars now have cameras all around it. Mm-hmm. And what it will do through your navigation is it'll show you the camera view of what's happening in front of you, and it'll be an arrow on the screen pointing to the actual road that you need to turn. So it'll be like an arrow, like being like you're going to be turning onto this road right here, and it's and so it'll be
cool.
And so I think. Stuff like that will also get much better through your phone, maybe. So maybe if you don't know where you are, you can maybe take a picture or somehow put your camera up to a street view, to the street view,
right?
And you could maybe get directions that way by it telling you through your camera. You're looking at your camera screen, and it's like walk down this alley.
Speaking of that, they already have that here in China. So there's an app called Baidu Maps.
Jesus.
And when I was in Shanghai with my girlfriend, there's a way where you can click Street View, and it shows you a little arrow. So you can move your phone around, and it will tell you where to go. Now, it's not the same level. It's not the same level where you just hold up your phone. You have to have your map and you have to have your location set, but still,
right.
It's still pretty cool.
Well, I guess even with the way I was talking, you could use your camera as a way, but the logical thing to do would just be use the mapping of where you are rather than, it probably takes way more computing to use the camera to figure out,
there's no excuse in the next decade to get lost somewhere.
No.
If you have cell signal. If you have cell signal.
Well, that's what I was saying when I was in Toronto a couple weeks ago. That's what I was saying with my girlfriend. Where I was like, yeah, I love wandering around and I was like, it's different for her. She's a girl, so she can't really do this alone as easily. But I was literally saying there's no such thing as getting lost. So I love to just do as Don and I said.
Maps off, baby.
Maps off. And it's great because you can't get lost, so you can just go wherever you want and explore fully, and then just figure it out in an hour or whatever. It's like, I don't know where I am, but I can pull up my phone. And what I did also in Toronto, I didn't mention this, but was I downloaded a section of where I was gonna be, So I had I had my data off the entire time because I was abroad, but I had maps for that entire area that I was using fully ready to go. So that was nice too.
Nice.
The future. So this I don't really have a full a prediction on, but that's what I have you here for. I want your help with this. The future of ride-hail technology. Now, you kind of talked about this slightly as a joke about helicoptering, which is a thing. Uber helicopter is a thing in New York and maybe somewhere else, but I know it's a thing in New York. I don't know how practical it is, but it doesn't seem like anyone's died yet.
Yet.
So, autonomous cars. Do you think... Now, I'm just going to run through some things real quick. Autonomous cars. Do you think we're going to see autonomous cars in the next decade?
Yes and no. I say yes because I think the technology will be there. But there's still one big philosophical or moral question we have to ask and be able to answer, Jared, which is, if you have a self-driving car and it's going 60 miles per hour down the road, or 80 kilometers per hour, whatever that speed would be, it's going down the road, and then an old lady or just anybody walks in front of the car, that car has to decide, does it hit that person and kill them, or does it swerve off the road and potentially kill the passenger in the car? And I was talking to an executive at Google a few years ago, and he said that the technology is already there. The problem is finding the answer to that question. And I don't really know what the answer to that question is. Why? I mean, in theory, right, nobody deserves to die, right? I mean, there's no reason why the passenger should be killed, but there's also no reason why that, innocent bystanders should also be killed. So it's difficult to say. I think
that's called, by the way, utilitarianism. That's the I don't know what you call it, theory, study, or is a ethical theory. Yeah, philosophy too. That's what there's something called the train problem or train dilemma that you just talked about. If you've watched The
Good Place, you know exactly what we're talking about.
Yes. Yeah. That's why, I couldn't remember, I Googled it just now, but that's where I was like, well, I know that's a thing, like that's Cheaties has talked about this.
Yeah. But I do think it will become a thing, and I think what's even scarier, though, is that I think it's going to really hurt the trucking industry. Because I think trucks are going to become automized. From what
automated.
I've heard,
I think trucking seems like a good place to start too.
Yeah,
because it's mostly freeway, and you could have even a lane dedicated to it.
Right, I agree. The only thing though is that what do you do with all these people who were truckers for 20, 30, 40 years or whatever?
People always claim that stuff figures itself out. Like people were afraid of this sort of not being jobs thing during the original Industrial Revolution, and that wasn't really the case, or during the tech boom.
Right.
And this is just what I've heard. I don't really know if I agree with it or not. That's just what I've heard. I don't really know. But another thing I have with the autonomous driving, I don't think it's going to be a thing in the next decade. I don't think we're going to be even close. I think also a huge problem is the dilemma of is people's ability to drive their own car. Like I think that there's still people that are gonna want to drive their own car, and there's gonna be a dilemma of what rights do they have to drive their own car, especially once autonomous cars are introduced. And I don't think autonomous cars are going to be fully safe until just about the vast majority of cars on the road are autonomous, because
I would agree with that.
Huge factor a huge factor on the road that no one can account for is the unpredictability of people,
Correct.
Because we're texting, we're eating food and having conversations and stuff, and swerving into other lanes. And so there's so much unpredictable behavior on the road by drivers that I think like the vast 95+% of the cars on the road have to be autonomous for that to work. And I don't think that I don't think society's going to be ready to adopt that on a big enough scale for that to happen.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that big time.
So I think there's going to be new competitors to the ride-hailing game, though. So I think maybe bigger competitors. Not Uber and Lyft have been around for a while, but they've never made money. These companies don't really make money, and I think that big companies are going to get into the game. like big car companies maybe. And I think there's going to be the gig economy is going to be more and more of a thing. And I think the side hustle, quote unquote, economy is going to be much more of a thing in the next decade. And I think the multiple income lifestyle is really going to be adopted.
Do you think
as
that's
this
better or worse?
It scares me. I think there's a benefit to it. It's beneficial for people that want to lead more creative endeavors. It gives people more time to do what they want to do. But I think it also it takes a lot of the responsibility off the employer and puts it onto the employee regarding pay, regarding insurance,
True.
regarding like a 401k, that sort of like the sort of benefits that you get of being at a big company that offers all these benefits that make you feel, that give you that peace. It takes away the peace of mind. That's what I'm really looking for. That you get from being at an established company that offers benefits. Long-term benefits. You don't like the gig economy. Uber owes you nothing other than the rides that you've driven. Right. And then there's no sort of like, you can be dropped at any moment. They don't owe you anything. There's no chance for any sort of like if you get fired, severance pack. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right. We'll give you insurance for another 6 months. There's none of that happening.
Right. I will say this though too, Jared, about the workplace in the future. I think another thing too is as things become more automized and AI improves.
Automated. You keep saying automized.
Automated. Sorry.
Is automized? Is that not a? I don't think that's a word.
Is it not a word? I thought it was a word. Anyways.
Automated.
Anyways, I think that will open up the doors for people to do jobs that require what humans do that machines can't, which is be creative.
Automize and automate are the same thing. You can use.
There
both
you go,
of them.
Jared. Thank you. There you go.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah. But what, Jared, are your predictions for our podcast for the next decade?
Oh man,
I know it's a big question.
Ideally, more guests.
Yes, I would love to get some professors on here. It's just difficult because right now, at least with our schedules and the weird time change between you and I, and but I would love to get some more academics and intellectuals on here. I think that's a cop out. I think that's a cop out. I think we could easily make it happen. Yeah. Okay.
You do come to me with a lot of great guest ideas, but I feel like you come to me telling me to do it, And I'm like,
that's true.
And I'm like, if you want these guests, you're welcome to do all the work that I've done to get the previous guests in the past. Or you've even done. You've gotten guests too. So you do have a lot of great guest ideas, but if in my mind, if you really want them, you're welcome to get them. I'm not. I think they're great guests as well. So, but I would like to have more guests. I think that's always more fun for me and the people.
Definitely more polyglots and some more international guests.
I would like more untranslatable music made by us.
Yep.
More in-person podcast. I love those. I think those
Uber
are
helicopter to China, Jared. Don't worry.
Oh,
2025.
That sounds terrifying. All right. Enough about us, though. I actually have more. A few more next decade predictions.
Cool. Let's hear them.
Or I want your opinion on some. Just a couple more. More American soccer stars. I think we're going to start seeing in the next decade. I think soccer is really going to start becoming big in the United States in the next decade. One, because we're getting a lot of European influence in the U.S. Our American soccer team. Every year, incrementally, we get a little bit more interesting, a little bit more hopeful. Every year, just a tiny bit. And you start hearing a lot more Mans and Steins on the team. And you're like, a lot of interesting American names. You're like, oh, no. his dad's American, his mom's German. I was like, oh no,
Right.
yeah, no, his mom's from Mali. That's why it's like, oh, okay, all these people are African or European or but it's like, I mean, I'll take it. I'll take it. But anyway, I think we're going to see more American soccer stars in the future, and I think another thing with the increasing knowledge that American football is a very dangerous sport physically long term. I think soccer is going to be bigger for kids these days. Because parents, I think parents are going to be more afraid to get their kids into American football, which is going to push more kids into soccer, which is going to pump up
people down south.
That talent.
I agree with you, but tell that to people down south.
Yeah, well, I don't. Mostly, all right.
I'm really curious, Jared, to see how language will change within the next decade, because like slang terms and stuff like that. I think a lot of at least American slang and English slang, I think will change based on social media. It will change based on AI stuff. I'm sure there will be some goofy terms related to, if something glitches out.
Some like mistakes that computers have made. Yeah. Dude, that is going to be so good. That is going to be great. I could totally see that happening. I'd also be interested to see how GIF/meme culture progresses.
That's true.
Like memes almost at this point seem kind of old school. Just a picture with some words on it.
Memes?
Or
hologram
or like more
memes?
of our faces, maybe easier to put our faces into them. I don't know.
Right.
But like, I mean, we can do that now though. Memes just seem so basic. It's literally just a picture. And the pictures that are used on memes, most pictures are grainy, like not great pictures. They look like pictures you would take. You said I haven't been roasting you enough.
That's true. Bring the roasts on, Jared. That's for sure.
So I'm interested to see where meme and GIF games go, and I think much like what you said before, a lot of that will probably influence where our conversations go. And I also think with the globalization of our social media and just the globalization of us communicating with each other, maybe a lot more influence, not just from us or English speakers to other countries, but other countries' languages on our slang, maybe. Maybe we'll get more words from other languages that'll just be one-off random words. It's like, oh, how did this Arabic word become a slang word that 10-year-olds are saying now or something? I don't know. And then Southern families will get terrified and think that.
That's true.
How is this getting into our households?
I will say this, though. I don't know if this will happen in the next decade, Jared, but I do think within the next 20 to 40 years, I do think that the amount of people who are religious is going to drop significantly. I think the majority of people within the next, maybe not in the next decade, but I think the next 20.
I agree with you. But I think maybe, you say maybe not in the next decade, but obviously for it to happen in the next 20 to 40 years, we'll have to see some of that progress in the next decade,
True.
So maybe, and I think you're 100% right. And I think because science is going to get better, obviously. I mean, so I think as science gets better.
Medicine, technology, absolutely.
As communication and availability of information gets easier.
Unless science proves that there is a God.
Oh, wow. That would be interesting. That's an interesting paradox, though.
It is.
Because it's science proving it. Right. So, can the religious people really believe it if it's science proving it? It's like, whose God is this? Not my God.
Exactly. It depends. Yeah, it depends on what side you're on, or which sect or which faith. True. Very true.
All right, I have a couple more. Three more.
Let's hear them.
Restaurants and attraction ratings. Finding the best spot. What's that going to be like? I was in Toronto, and we had a tour. Our tour guide told us about Blog.to, and he said that people that use Blog.to every month, 6 months, let's say, they send out what's the best blah, blah, blah restaurant that you would say. Thousands of people click, this is the best restaurant. My girlfriend and I went to the best ramen restaurant. My ramen, pretty good. It was good. I wouldn't say it was the best I've ever had. It was good. I enjoyed it. My girlfriend, she's a vegetarian. Hers, not good. She didn't like it at all. But this was the best spot according to BlogTO. And, everyone, this is objective. But, everyone's constantly through Yelp, through TripAdvisor, Google, BlogTO, all the other sort of local sites. You Wish You Knew is used in Philadelphia, and I think Chicago and New York also have their own versions of it. Where these are all these sort of sites, all these sort of tips and tricks to find the best spot. What is going to become of the best spot and finding the best spot? And will we ever have a sort of a decisive list, or will we just be on this never-ending search for the quote-unquote best spot?
I think a never-ending search because people's tastes
it's
change.
It's subjective.
It's really tricky. Yeah. What else you got, Jared?
Yeah. Cheaper study abroad options.
I think cheaper travel options as well.
Cheaper travel options, yes. But I would like to see study abroad be more accessible.
Another one I would like to see,
maybe
I don't know if it will happen, but work abroad as well. Not only more study abroad opportunities, but also work abroad, because there are some companies and businesses now that have been trying to do this. And I think it's an awesome idea. I think especially if you're really young and you're not sure what you want to do, why not go and spend a year, in England or South America or wherever, and get a little work experience under your belt. And
I told you that I've just sort of casually looked to apply to jobs abroad, and even trying to fill out the application, the process just seems impossible because it's I don't have this number that you're asking for, or my social security number doesn't fit into the why are you giving me this many spots for my social security number?
What would be cool? And this would really, I don't know if this would ever happen. I don't think it will happen in the next decade. But if there was an international or a globalized type of number you could have, like a social security, where you could work anywhere in the world. Yeah. That would be awesome. Because, if you're...
That seems kind of scary, though.
EU, why is it scary, though?
It just takes a lot of agreement I feel like it takes a lot of countries coming together in agreement.
True.
That's not scary. True. It just seems impossible. I hate to be that guy.
That's why I said it probably won't happen. I agree. No, I agree with you. I don't think it'll happen.
But I do love that idea, and I wish I just wish I wish it was easier to work in other countries. Now I'll say this: I think it's probably fair to say that working from home, telecommuting will become more popular. And maybe that'll make it easier for people to live in different countries. And maybe through making it easier for people to get out of the country because they're working maybe at their company, just using their laptop wherever they are, it'll maybe help them find opportunities abroad. Maybe.
Yeah. Anything else, Jared?
One more. Now, this is just a general thing. I would like to see improvements in the airline industry, or and not just getting cheaper. That'll probably happen, but and not even just the airline industry, but the airport industry. It's just something about it seems antiquated. Something about the TSA process. Is this it? Are we at the pinnacle of the TSA process? Is this how it's going to be forever now? Or even just the machine we use, that one where you put your hand up and you step on those things. That machine freaks me out, dude. I don't like that machine. I feel like when I put my feet on those things, I can feel the current going through my body sometimes.
Right.
I do not like those machines. Right. Oh my God. So I every time I go on those machines, I purposely kind of offset my foot off of the foot marks. Because I'm just I'm doing anything I can to just avoid as much of this. And not that it makes any difference.
Gives you peace
Shut
of
up,
mind.
I know. Please. I need this.
So Jared, I have one last one that I think will really change a lot of people's lives in many different ways. And I think that is the accessibility and the cost of 3D printing will become much better. I think people will be able to 3D print a lot of things, hopefully be able to access blueprints and stuff to print out whatever they want, which leads me to my next thing that I think will happen within the next decade is more affordable and higher quality music instruments. I think already, at least, I do a lot with guitar, And I think I can already tell that there are a lot of entry model and cheaper model guitars that 10, 15 years ago, the quality was not very good. They wouldn't stay in tune. They didn't sound very good. I kid you not, Jared. There are many, many, many companies that you can buy a guitar, an electric guitar for under $100, and they sound pretty decent and they stay in tune pretty well. They're not perfect. They're not the same quality as, you know, a $1,000 handmade guitar somewhere or $3,000 or whatever. But I think that instruments will become even more affordable, better quality, and hopefully that will bring a resurgence of more people playing instruments. Not that I have anything against people using digital music, and a lot of recording nowadays is very digitally based, but I think it would be great to have more people out there still playing instruments, and I think making them more affordable and accessible will hopefully bring that. And speaking of music and instruments, though, Jared, I want to talk about our song of the pod today. Sorry if I cut you off, buddy.
No. You didn't cut me off.
So our song of the pod today is by an artist from Mali. Her name is, I believe it's Fatoumata Diawara, and the song is called Bonya. And what are your thoughts on it, Jared?
It's very light and bouncy. She has a obviously beautiful voice, and
very beautiful.
It seems
a good
like
way to describe it as well.
I don't mean to say this in a negative way because I don't mean this in a negative way at all. But it seems a little poppy, you know?
Okay. But I think that might just be the way Mali music is.
Maybe. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not an expert on Mali music.
Me either.
But I like it a lot. I like the I like the sort of happy vibe that it has to it, and like it's. I don't know if you've seen the music video. I guess you did. You sent it to me.
Yeah,
but it's like her and that like kid. Is it supposed to be like a kid version of her or something?
I'm not sure. It's up to interpretation, Jared. That's the beauty of music videos.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, but I like it. I like it. Can you tell me how you? Sometimes I hate to ask this question. It seems like a tough question sometimes, but how'd you find it?
A magician never reveals his secrets, Jared. No, I'm just kidding.
See, this is why. Okay,
just YouTube. I was looking for you'd got me a little bit curious about like Afrobeat music after sending me that playlist, and. And I was just on YouTube, and I came across her. It was just like a recommended of a recommended. And
okay, yeah, because I looked at the playlist. Cool. I looked at the playlist that I sent you, and
I don't think.
And I was like, "Is she on this playlist?" And I was like,
she is. Is she?
She's not. No, she's not.
Yeah,
but I like it. It was a great find. It was a good find. Thank you.
Yeah. It's a good one. So if you definitely want to look at a bright new decade, give this song a listen on our YouTube channel, Untranslatable Podcast, Song of the Pod playlist. Fatoumata Diawara Bonya. Great song. It will put you in a fantastic mood. So, Jared,
you betcha.
My Chinese word of the pod is "arshe," and "arshe" just means 20. It actually means 210. "R" is 2 and "sh" is 10. "Arshe."
Okay. My song of the Spanish word of the pod is "vaticinio."
Which means what? Innovation.
Or you could also say, what did you say?
Innovation.
No. Or you could also say predicción.
Oh, prediction. Okay, prediction.
Yes. You betcha.
Nice. We definitely got out our crystal balls today, Jared, and took some looks into the future. We'll see when we do a recap in 2030 how accurate we were.
I have a question for you before?
Yeah.
Real quick. Do you have any, putting you on the spot, any teaching related, education related predictions, whether it be big picture specifically for
I have a couple.
Technological?
I have a couple. I think that learning materials will become more accessible to students, which I hope will also drop the price of textbooks for our poor college students out there who are dropping way too much money on overpriced textbooks.
Is there going to be less of a need for textbooks overall? Like it's textbooks almost seem antiquated.
I think a lot of it will be right. I think a lot of it will be e-learning. So yeah, I also think the idea of going to a classroom might also eventually become antiquated. I think there will be a lot of online learning. I will say this, though. Online learning cannot replace the type of community you can create in a classroom in person. So until we
you need to
you
need to socialize as well. Like that's an important part of growing up. Almost as important, more important than
but
the
I think
education.
More university classes will be offered online for a lot of different reasons. So yeah, what else? I think that we will hopefully have better ways to assess our students and have the technology do that for us. And I also think that we're going to have to make a lot of changes and reforms to education because the needs of our world are changing. So,
do you see any chance in the next decade of teachers being treated any better in the U.S.?
I hope so. I think as long as teachers continue to fight for their rights and continue to be vocal, I hope so. But a lot of that also depends on the political environment, the political parties in power, and all that stuff. So we'll see. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah.
We'll see.
I'm not confident, but I just don't think Americans. I think
there needs to be a change in our culture.
We'd be asking Americans to respect education more.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head, Jared. But I think there are a lot of technological innovations to come. I hope this decade will bring a lot of joy, happiness, and prosperity to not only our listeners out there, but everybody around the world. And let's hope it's a good one. Let's hope this is a boppin' 20s, or I don't know. That's a really lame way to put the decade. Somebody please get at us on
Thanks,
Twitter,
Grandma.
Untranslatable One, and give us a better slogan for the new decade. It was the roaring 20s in the 1920s. What will this 2020s be? Maybe it'll be a clear decade because of 2020 clear vision. Who knows? We'll see. But anyways, we hope you enjoyed this
twerking 20s.
episode. Oh God, let's hope not. Let's hope that was over in the teens, the twerking teens, and not the twerking 20s, Jared. We'll see. But yeah. Anyways, let us know what you thought about this episode at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what some of your predictions are. We'd be happy to share them on the next episode. That would be pretty fun.
You betcha.
Also, check us out on Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast, and our YouTube channel, Untranslatable Podcast. And check out our Song of the Pod for all sorts of great music in various languages. We know you will love it. And lastly, please let us know with reviews on iTunes and Stitcher, ideally 5 stars, and leave a comment, give us some feedback how we can make this podcast better for you. That is definitely one of our goals this decade is tailor this podcast so you get even more enjoyment, even more laughs, and learn even more. So let us know. And as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, Dekuyame, muchas gracias, and shisha.